So we're going to get into, so my first alert, right? And today, because of price action, I'm going to flip things. I usually would go for my 7 a.m. alerts and kind of go through them intraday and talk about it and stuff. But I'm going to be more focused on my end of day alerts, and then we'll kind of go through, because today there was a lot of news, right? There's a lot of things that happened, and the day there was a lot of talks, right? You know, what's nice is, like I said, there's people out there that I respect that were much more bearish about today. I thought today was going to be so bad that people have been talking, are we in a bull or bear market, or are we sideways? I thought today, after today, the bears were going to show themselves and the clouds were going to be out. I mean, I even went on the spaces yesterday with, like, we had, like, I don't know, a good amount of people in there. People were more bullish, and I even told them, hey guys, we're in a bear trend. I don't care. You can look at the charts which way you want, but it's bearish out there. But right now, since October, September was bearish. But October has been a little bit more sideways, right? There has been this battle of bulls and bears, right? And there's been a lot of intraday movement. Like I said, I don't think the big money has come in yet, and that also scares, because I think that big money knows better. They might be looking for a better, fair price. They're not going to wait for the market to rally and all of a sudden chase. That's not what big money does, right? They get in before the move. So, but we're going to get into some stuff. So then I get into IV. The last thing I get into is expiration. And at this point, I used to look for things that were within a 30-day window. Now, actually, I'm okay. As long as it's closer than, you know, within a 3 to 6 month window, I'm okay. I kind of like it, because we've shown with uranium, he's been playing CCJ all month, and you just continue to make money. So someone said it, XPEV, right? This is one of the first ones that popped up right at that 670 realm, outside the money, bullish and bearish ass, but not too far outside, right? And it's 1029, right? It's close, but we're going to get into it. Now, it is one of those stocks. I usually don't touch any of these Chinese stocks, because they have been so temperamental. They'll be up, down, all around, okay? But when it comes to XPEV and when it comes to NIL, I do trade those ones. They're EV companies, right? They're EV companies in China, and they're trying to compete with Tesla. The whale's done some beautiful things. First of all, you can check out the strategies. They literally will tell you, right? Play different option strategies, right? For me, it's kind of crazy. Like, it's funny. They've almost turned in. I have this options Bible book that I was talking to some people. Now, it's big. It's a lot. It's literally like reading a textbook, right? But he's simplified it. It's awesome. I have to give credit to Whale. They just keep constantly improving. If you didn't know that, check it out. And then we'll get into it. I always dive in. Dive in. You can dive into the alert. See what's out, everything around. For me, what's very important secondarily, and I don't know if everyone knows this, right? Pay attention to Delta. Delta for me is the most important, by far, the most important Greek. Delta is telling you two things. One, it's telling you for every dollar XPEV moves up on the common stock, so right now it's trading at 39.90, we'll round up to 40. If it traded at 41, this option price would go up 28 cents. So for every dollar move on the common, you are getting a 28-cent 0.2829 move for every dollar. Very, very important. Also on these kind of stocks, I love that the implied volatility is below 100 and it's around that 50% range. So it's giving me more of a probability run in one way or direction or the other. Second thing that a lot of people don't know about Delta is this is the probability that this XPEV, that this call option will end in the money in 1029. So there is a 28.29% chance that XPEV will be at $43 or above by 1029. That is probably the simplest way I can explain Delta. And it is so very important. So for me, I actually will take those odds at this price range, but I'm going to wait for XPEV to break certain levels, and we'll get into that next. Before I go ahead and I want to buy. Now, some people have asked me before, and we used to describe this as I used to wait for this ask to raise 20% before I'm looking to buy. And then I would go and sell it at 50%, right? Looking to bank a 30% gain. We're not getting that price action right now. So when this original price now raises 10%, it's something that I'm interested in. When it gets to 10%, it's something I'm interested in. And if it raises 10%, I'll play it to that 20 to 30%, and I'll take a 20% gain at this point. If you're waiting for this now to gain 20 to 30%, you might never get there. Okay. So now it's super, super crucial to be, when you're watching these alerts, to also be watching the underlying. So I don't know if people understand. Sometimes people just watch the options flow, and that's awesome. And then they just watch this options price. I check out the options price and the options flow for opportunities. And then depending if I want to play an option or the common, but I'm always charting it. So now we're going to get into, so this is basically step one is analyzing, seeing what you want to do. Step two is diving in. What were the big options trades on the flow? So step two is you got to check the flow. You got to check dark pool. You want to go and see what some of the historic volume is, right? Here's our big dark pool. We all are taking notes, right? That is a noteworthy thing, okay? All taking notes, right? I also really do like to see, do we have any congressional ownership? Now, there fucking better not be, right? Better not be no motherfucking congressional ownership of people that own in the United States on this stock, because they would get their ass fucking burned, right? And that's why sometimes you'll see congressional ownership. You don't see it here, because this is a Chinese trade stock. But I will check it out. Now we're going to get into the most important step in my eyes, right? And that's the charting aspect. So XPEV, we're going to chart it out for y'all. So right now, what you guys are seeing is you're seeing the intraday, the 30-minute. Okay, had a brilliant day today. Okay. And then you're seeing the daily, right? And you're seeing the weekly. Very important. This is what I do. You need to have a top-down approach. For me, I'll be honest with you, especially in this market environment, I go backwards. Okay. So before I even get to intraday, I'm looking at and I write this down. Okay. I say, what's the trend? Actually, I'll even do this usually. I like to check out the monthly. Let me show you how I kind of go about stuff. I like to see, what are we doing on the monthly? What's the trend in the monthly? I write it down. So XPEV, interesting. Trend is green. And then I like to go and say, what's my weekly trend? Well, even though it's showing me blue, and I'm going to explain this later, it's uncertain, right? Because it's this is an impulse system. Blue is showing that it's not, but this is because it's a newer stock, right? So that's actually, there's not enough data to show me my trends on my weekly yet, at least for the impulse system. But it is green. So now I'm going to get in and I'm going to get to the daily. And I go, wow, it's green. So these now have told me this call is interesting to me. And it's something that I'll get into as long as XPEV breaks certain levels intraday. But those opportunities, right, in the sense of something that's moving in the right direction, it starts with the top down. So it starts with the monthly, weekly, daily, and then you'll get intraday. Please don't look at your intraday. Depend and decide your trend, right? Your trend comes from a top-down 30,000 foot approach. For me, at this time, I'm saying, okay, these aren't bad, right? But I don't know, right? There are a couple levels it needs to hit. It's ran so nice here, like so nice, right? That we're starting to hit the top of our upper Bollinger Band. When that usually happens, there's this high probability that things like to kind of revert back. So I would play this extremely safe to the point where if we broke 40.58, right? So we have to take another dollar, right? If we broke that level and closed above it, right? At least for 2 candles on the 30-minute. So basic example is if we gapped up, it would almost have to be a gap up. And the first 2 minutes we're trading above, right? Just like we did here, gapped up. And this is a continuation play. Gaps up, continuation, okay? When it gaps up and comes back down, that's called an exhaustion. People are just happy with this little gap and they're selling and there's not enough buying pressure to come back. Today, you got it, right? There was a lot of excitement, started to come back, hit the 13 and the 21 beautifully and bounced off on the 30-minute and just broke through every single pivot point. So the next pivot point that I'm going to be paying extreme attention to is this 40.58, this level, right? This R1 level, very, very important to me, okay? If it breaks this 40.58, and what I have here, guys, I'm showing you, these are my little coded things that I have, but they're Fibonacci levels, and most trading platforms have them. I will be giving out some, I'll show you again what I use for my certain stuff, but today we don't have enough time. But from this whale alert, it's very interesting. It's something I'll be looking into. And you've noticed at this 50-11 level, or this 40-50 level, when it breaks it, it likes to run. So I'm going to be waiting on the technical side. And this is where, even though I might think some things will be bullish, right? I'm going to be patient, waiting for things to break certain pivot points for me to then be getting into these whale calls. And then I'll be looking for each average true range up. So each ATR movement for the day, I just would take it. So here, if we hit this pivot point next, taking profits, right? Moving my stop loss to this pivot point, right? Basically stop even. And then this one, taking profits. And I'll just take profits each time this pivot's hit. And once it patterns out, I'm okay. And then at the same time, if this breaks down, you don't get in too early. You're good. You're solid. I'm just saying XPEV, right, has been doing okay, right? So it's just for me, I'm looking for price action opportunities, right? Not rushing into anything. The real opportunity here for XPEV was when it gapped up here and it broke its middle Bollinger Band and this middle pivot point at 37.47. That was the real opportunity. So for me, actually, I'll be waiting to see if when it pulls back to this, are we going to bounce or are we going to break down again? I won't chase. I will not chase. But if it breaks into this 40-50 realm, I will day trade it. And this is the alert that I would play. I probably would give myself a cushion, right? And pay the extra dollars, right? But this is very cheap at the same time. But I'd probably pay the extra money to have a 30-day secured on my expiration time. So that's how I would break it down. I like the chart, right?